The conference opens with the welcome address of IVASS President Salvatore Rossi, followed by the keynote speech by EIOPA's chairman, Gabriele Bernardino. Thank you.
Okay, I think that we can start. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome you to this conference on the launch of Solvency II. First of all, I want to thank Vittoria Saporta, Chair of the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, IAIS, Gabriele Bernardino, Chair of the European Insurance and Occupational Pensions Authority, EIOPA, Frank Grund of BaFin, and all the other panelists for kindly accepting our invitation. I also want to thank you all, the audience, for being so numerous, and this is the proof that the topic we will be discussing today, namely the Solvency II implementation challenges we are facing only 2 months after the entry into force of the new regime, is of great relevance for both regulators and the industry. Indeed, this is not the first conference on Solvency II and will not be the last, of course. Actually, a lot of other conferences and seminars and other occasions of discussion have already taken place since the project started, but we still need some more discussion and a deeper and wider comprehension of the implications of this multifaceted issue. We will start, as you know, with a keynote speech by Gabriele Bernardino. 2 panel discussions will follow. The first one on the most relevant and I would say controversial aspects of Solvency II implementation. The second one devoted to a specific but crucial feature of the new framework, that is information disclosure. The panelists are very distinguished and well-known representatives of both the supervisory community and the industry. The moderators will be Ferdinando Giuliano, former editor of Financial Times, now at the Italian newspaper La Repubblica, and Fausto Parente of IVASS, hopefully next executive director of EIOPA, if the European Parliament will give confirmation to his appointment. Alberto Corinti, member of the board of IVASS and of the management board of EIOPA, will offer some concluding remarks. I am sure that we will gain important insights from today's debate, also based on everybody's concrete experience in the past few weeks of the new regime. Now, a few introductory words on my part. Solvency II was born on the 1st of January of this year, after a pregnancy lasting more than 10 years. We all remember the last thrilling moments when the Directive Omnibus II, essential for advancing the project, seemed for a while too hard to be agreed upon. A failure would have put the childbirth at deadly risk. But we made it, and the baby is here, alive and kicking and screaming. EIOPA had a fundamental role in that delicate process. It impressed a decisive push when it adopted the interim measures for the preparation to Solvency II in 2013. That move energized the whole insurance sector, both supervisors and the industry, keeping its attention high in view of the final goal of the new regime. Notwithstanding the long and complex preparatory works, not each and every detail is fully fixed yet, nor, I would add, fully understood, especially by the public opinion. That is why we organized this conference. Of course, we're not going to solve all our doubts today. In our ordinary work, we continuously bump into new implementation problems asking ourselves how to practically deal with this or that aspect of Solvency II. To some extent, this is physiological, as it always happens when one moves from theory to practice in every field of human activities. I am confident that at the end of the day, we will be able to exploit all the benefits of the new regime while minimizing the implementation costs. And let me very briefly touch upon what are, to my understanding, the key points, 3 key points we need to tackle now. First of all, we need to stimulate and accommodate a thorough cultural change in the insurance sector. The transition from the Solvency I static historical approach to the Solvency II forward-looking one is revolutionary. And this is not rhetoric. In the banking sector, the same revolution, back in the remote past by now, required years to be digested by all the stakeholders. In a risk-dominated environment, supervisors are expected to systematically challenge undertakings on their risk profile / appetite and on their ability to pursue it. For instance, supervisory authorities should periodically discuss with the board of each company its risk profile and long-term strategies. IVASS, on its part, has already taken some steps in this direction. One example, immediately after an on-site inspection, we convene a dedicated meeting with the board of the company to discuss the outcome and possible corrective measures. In our experience, not all board members are always willing and able to sustain such a constructive dialogue with the supervisors, especially in small undertakings. But that is essential in the new regulatory framework, and it is a cultural gap. We have to work together on it. All cultural changes require time, effort, perhaps even some pain. What is important is to keep moving ahead, step by step, but constantly, towards the main goal, which is a forward-looking approach in assessing risks and vulnerabilities. Both camps have to adapt their way of reasoning. Supervisors, when analyzing data coming from undertakings, the undertakings when, for example, performing the own risk and solvency assessment, the ORSA exercise. Second key point is what I consider now the top priority for the supervisory community in the European Union: harmonization and convergence of supervisory practices. We cannot consistently manage a common regulatory framework if we accept for too long a playing field which is not level, arbitrages among national supervisors, discriminations in the protection of policyholders along national borders. This was often the case under Solvency I, with so many national differences permitted by the European directives. Solvency II allows a much more limited number of national specificities. We can more easily work on harmonizing supervisory practices, pointing to a real common approach. This means identifying the best practices and being ready, each of us, to adopt them in our national sphere, even if they do not come from our own experience. It's not easy. Day-to-day supervision remains in the national supervisory authorities' responsibility, with their different stories and long years of experience. Spreading the best practices, irrespective of where they were developed, would sometimes require foregoing national pride in order to embrace the cause of rationality and efficiency. And I believe EIOPA can do a lot in this field, not only because enhancing convergence is in its mandate, but also because it is really in the best position to collect and compare all the different approaches, identify and recommend the best ones, promote their common adoption while acknowledging differences on aspects that actually merit to be treated differently. And to accomplish this task, the tools are already there. Let me just mention the finalization of EIOPA's supervisory handbook, which we believe is the essential tool. Hence, IVASS very much supports it and is actively working on it. Another important tool in order to select and share best practices is the peer review work. Even in this case, we will need time. From our side, I can assure that we are seriously committed to such collective effort. Third and final key point is public disclosure. Solvency II will be a fantastic opportunity to better understand the risk profile and the business model of each company for all the stakeholders, supervisors first, but also market analysts and board members and managers and journalists and politicians and the public opinion. The market disclosure rules foreseen by the new legislative framework will really allow everybody interested to have access to the financial position of an insurer with an unprecedented level of detail. The inherent sophistication and complexity of Solvency II, however, raise issues that need to be addressed. It is essential that such informative treasure be of high quality. It is essential that it be easily understood and used. A possible complication stems, at least in our country, but I know even in other countries, from the coexistence of the Solvency II informative approach with financial statements based on accounting standards not matching the former. It may be a source of confusion and misunderstandings, possibly endangering the reputation of both supervisors and companies. It will be interesting to exchange views on that today. And let me conclude, ladies and gentlemen, with a word of caution. Solvency II is just a regulatory framework. It designs, so to speak, the urban map. It imposes one-way streets and speed limits. It deploys traffic lights and traffic officers. All this infrastructure has just been changed, and today we are going to discuss how to ease the transition towards the new regime. But the traffic itself, that is the thousands of cars and drivers in a modern city, well, that is the market. And the insurance market all over the world is now facing a bigger challenge than the one posed by a change in the rules of the game, though radical as the one that we are experiencing. And the challenge is twofold. A structural one, technological innovation. The other one is apparently of a conjunctural nature, but it is actually persisting almost like a structural feature, and that is the environment of low and volatile financial returns in which we have been living for years now. I said low, I could have said negative in the short-term segment of financial markets. How fast will the new technologies disrupt the traditional way of conducting the insurance business? How long will monetary policies keep interest rates at the present unprecedented levels or even lower? Nobody knows. Every opinion is legitimate, but the whole business is rocked by these developments. Understanding the trends and the challenges behind the current state of affairs in the insurance market should be a common endeavor for regulators, supervisors, and the industry. For the time being, we have to work together in order to make the implementation of Solvency II as smooth and effective as possible, also for the purpose of strengthening the insurance sector and make it capable of resisting the present headwinds and catch the opportunities of tomorrow. Thank you for your attention.